Good evening, everyone. Hello and welcome along to the Sports Corner Live. That's right, we are back once again with plenty of action to come from the biggest game, you could arguably say, in the round of 16. That's right, Belgium taking on Portugal. And these are two very contrasting sides in terms of how their campaigns have gone so far. You can look at one hand and say that Belgium have been brilliant in this competition so far, looking very good, very organised, and lots of goals. And then you could also look at the other hand and say, well, Portugal were at some points, especially in match day 3, looking like they were on the brink of finishing bottom of the group. But it doesn't matter, because they both made it through. We're in the round of 16, it all begins here. We've already had a few games on the board. This is the halfway mark of your round of 16, and I'm delighted to say that joining me today is absolutely no one. It's just me. How are you all doing, everybody? Welcome along to the Sports Corner. If you are new, as always, my name is Josh. I would say I am the leader of the Sports Corner, but I think we all work in unison and harmony on this channel. And I am the one who's going to be covering this game today, Belgium versus Portugal. And I guess I could say I am in the very prestigious position to be able to cover this match today, because I think this is the one game, maybe apart from the England-Germany match, that everybody kind of circled on their list of matches that they'd no doubt want to watch. And when it's full of star players and full of potential brilliant players, not just of now, but of the future, it does make for a very exciting game indeed. And no doubt we should have another brilliant match, where we also have a certain CR7, who is one goal away from becoming the all-time highest international goal scorer in history. So there is a lot riding on this game, not just on the fact of a team success, but also personal success as well. But if you are new to the stream, then don't forget to leave a like and a subscription on the channel. We've got plenty more Euro content to come over the next few days. Of course, we've got the rest of the round of 16 action, and then we have the quarterfinals coming up in a few days' time. But we're about 5 minutes away from kickoff. Hope all of you guys are doing good in the chat. As always, I'm just going to reposition my camera very slightly because it is a little bit lower down. There we go, that's better. We'll go through the lineups in a second, but I just wanted to say, when you look at these two teams, we know that in the past, and specifically when we watch Euro 2016, that not necessarily do we have to see the best of these sides in the group stages to know whether they're going to be the best team in the tournament. Take a look at, for example, with Italy, and how it took them quite a lot of opportunities to break down Austria to eventually go through. Wasn't their best performance. Wasn't the worst as well. I think you could obviously look at other performances in the past and say that they didn't really play great, but that was probably one of the weaker performances of the Euros so far. And today, this is a game where I don't think we're going to see anything like that. I think we're going to see two teams that are going to really go for it. And hopefully we have a very, very good attacking match with plenty of goals, because that's what we're here for and that's what we want. But Tubbs is in the building. He's put, hello, my Filipino referee. How are we doing, Tubbs? So you're good as always, my friend. Welcome along to the stream. And without further ado, while I babble on, let's go through the lineups of the game, because, of course, we do have that kicking off in about 2 or 3 minutes' time. And we'll start off with the home team, and we're starting off with Belgium today with their trusty 3-4-2-1 system. A system I think they've played for what feels like donkey's years now. And talking about donkey's years, let's have a look at the team. And we start off with the goalkeeper, Thibaut Courtois, who is in goal today. And then we have the pensioner back three. All of these players now in their mid-30s. Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen, the two ever consistent players in the Belgian backline. And then Thomas Vermaelen, very interesting shout, played that last game of the group stages for Belgium. He keeps his position today, which I think is a very big call. Of course, the former Arsenal and Barcelona man in that back line. Midfield four, you've got Thorgan Hazard and Thomas Meunier as the two wide midfielders. No doubt there's going to be a lot of attacking and defensive work for both of those players to do in the game. Midfield is Axel Witsel and Yuri Tielemans, of course. Dendoncker dropped back down to the bench. Tielemans and specifically more Witsel all fit to play, which is brilliant to see, because Axel Witsel, we know, has been out for a large spell of the season. And then up top, it is another two players that have been out with injuries. Eden Hazard on the left-hand side, Kevin De Bruyne on the right. Those two have been fantastic since coming into the team. And then up top, of course, Romelu Lukaku. Who else was it going to be for Belgium? He is an absolute animal. On the bench, we've got the likes of Yannick Carrasco, Dries Mertens, who might feel a little bit disappointed to have been dropped for a game of this standard, but when you've got the likes of Hazard and De Bruyne, you're not going to keep them out of the team for long, are you? Batshuayi and Benteke as well, a few of the notable players that you might recognise from Premier League football. As for the Portugal team, they made a few changes of their own. It's a 4-3-3 once again for Portugal. Rui Patricio, who is about to move to AS Roma, is in goal. Back four pretty much stays the same, apart from one change. Nelson Semedo dropped to the bench, and it's Diogo Dalot who comes into the side, which is a very good addition to the team, I think. Of course, played at under 21 Euros not too long ago. One of the only players to have played in that competition to have been called up for the Euros as well. Midfield three, Renato Sanchez, Palhinha and Moutinho. Very different midfield three to what we've seen in the tournament so far. We've usually seen two defensive midfielders in there. They've gone for kind of pretty much three very good box-to-box players. And then the front three stays the same once again. Jota, Ronaldo and Bernardo Silva. No changes there. Remember, Ronaldo 1 goal away from becoming the all-time top goal scorer in international football history. On the bench, João Felix is back after a short injury. Gonçalves as well. And Bruno Fernandes, who's missing once again. A little bit of tiredness, I think, probably for him over the last few weeks of action. And we are underway with the game. Hopefully, we get a very good match indeed. Do put your score predictions in the chat for this game, because I'm not going to lie, I'm expecting goals in this one. And I was very preserved yesterday, and I predicted 1-0 to Italy. It was nearly right, of course. Very entertaining extra time that was. But I'm going to go for this game and say it's going to be a 2-2 draw. We go to extra time, and then Portugal win in penalties. That's my prediction. And no doubt, I'd like to hear your guys' predictions as well, because I think we should be in for a very, very entertaining game indeed. But seeing what you guys have been saying in the chat, of course, Tubbs in the building. He says, gutted for Netherlands. De Ligt is a dumbass. We'll talk about that game in a second, because I'll say, to be honest, I wasn't surprised that the Czechs went through, if I'm being truthful with you. Although I think there'll be still a few people out there a little bit shocked, and rightly so to a certain extent, but Portugal not really being tested in that tournament in terms of the group stages as much as I would probably say the Czechs were. And a big credit to the Czech Republics, because when you think about it, and with the way that the season's gone, both on an international and club level, this has probably been one of the biggest seasons for Czech Republic football, arguably you could say in the last decade and beyond. You know, got Slavia Prague to a quarter-final in the Europa League, which was a big achievement for them. And again, Czech Republic now in a quarter-final of the Euros with a chance to make the semis and maybe even the chance to make the final, which would be unbelievable if that was to happen. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in a little moment's time, because I will talk about that game and what I thought about the match overall, because obviously I've not done any of the games in the tournament yet in terms of the round of 16. So you've got me for this game, and then the next game tomorrow, which is Croatia-Spain, you've got me again. So a nice little double header before I have a few days off again. So I go into the wilderness for a few days after this, but we should have two very good games indeed. Seeing what you guys have been saying though. Carl's in the building. How are we doing, Carl? He's put, hey Josh and all. Hope you are well. I'm very good indeed. Hopefully you're all good as always in the chat. Having lots of fantastic international football action over the last few days. Carl going, no disrespect to Portugal, but in my opinion, Belgium should be winning this game comfortably 3-0. And I know I've gone for a 2-2 prediction myself and Portugal to go for on pens, but I did actually put in my predictions for Belgium to win the actual whole thing. Now, that wasn't me backing them and saying they are going to win it, they're the best team in the competition. I think more than anything, we talked about it before, the expectation on this Belgium team has to be immense. You know, they are the world number ones right now. France aren't somehow the world number ones. So the pressure has to be on them to go out there and win. And when you look at the left-hand side of the bracket and the teams in that side of the draw, Belgium, Portugal, Italy, France, Spain, Croatia, there are a lot of big, big teams in there. And for me, Belgium have to be winning this competition or else they will drop down the rankings. Not massively, but they will slowly drop. And I would expect them probably, minimum, to try and have to make the semi-finals. And even then, if France were to win this competition, they would lose that world number one spot and probably move, I would say, maybe to world number 3, 4, because obviously Brazil and Argentina, they'll be quite high in the rankings, and if one of those two sides win Copa America, they'll probably go up as well, in my opinion, in the rankings if they win Copa America. So pressure is on Belgium. And you could say the same is on Portugal, but a little bit more on Belgium, in my opinion. Chris is saying 1-1 in the game, and he also thinks that it'll go to extra time and Portugal to win on pens. So we're both going with fairly similar predictions. Maybe not as many goals for you in your side, Chris, but hopefully we do get a very entertaining game. Fingers crossed. Chris saying bold statement by Cal. I would probably say maybe not a bold statement, but an honest one. I think when you look at the tournament, and I said this actually in the first game that Belgium had, when you look at the tournament and who's got expectation on them to go and win this, nobody's really kind of factored in that Belgium should be a team under a lot of pressure. And obviously, I don't read Belgium newspapers and I don't read the Belgian press, so I don't know exactly what pressure has been put on them by the Belgian media. But I think there has to be a lot of pressure on them to win this. They've got a good enough team. Maybe the defence is a little bit lacking. But what they do not miss out on is the attacking power of the likes of Hazard, Lukaku and De Bruyne. As there's going to be a chance here for Portugal to come forward. Renato Sanchez into Jota, shot inside the box. And I've got to say, Toby Alderweireld coming in with the sliding tackle. And I think for a second that Diogo Jota might have just been put off very slightly by the sliding tackle of Toby Alderweireld. And his effort goes completely wide of the mark, but a very good chance for Portugal. And a prime example of how this Belgium defence can be opened up. You know, Vertonghen and Alderweireld, not the young, incredible centre-backs of the past that they once were, let's be honest. Vertonghen and Alderweireld have dropped off massively. Vermaelen, playing in Japan, not going to be playing to the same standard of what we saw of him a few years ago when he was at Barcelona and Arsenal. So they're going to be able to be got at. And Portugal do have the pace. You know, Ronaldo is still very quick. Jota is very quick. So you could see a lot of space opened up in that Belgian back line. And I think we will see a lot of balls in behind the defence today. And maybe a good chance for Cristiano Ronaldo to bag a goal or two. But we'll have to see indeed. But going back to what I was saying earlier, I think, obviously, as I said, I don't read the Belgian press to know what the expectation is on Belgium. And I would be very shocked if the Belgian media weren't saying that this team should make the final, as there's a chance here for Belgium. Lukaku tries to feed the ball towards Hazard, but the pass at the end is just a little bit too weak, and it's very good defending from Ruben Dias, who's able to just get the ball up the pitch. And he'll be hoping he has a much better game today. So, well, of course, we saw him against France, that 2-2 draw. Very enjoyable game that was. And you could arguably say Portugal's defence has been a little bit weak sometimes in the last two games specifically, conceding 6 goals in their last 2, which is not what you want to see from a back line that includes the Premier League Player of the Year now, do you? But saying that, it does include Pepe, so we can let him off to a certain extent. But Cal said in the chat, by my view, has to happen and is true if Belgium are and still want to be the best in the world, Chris. And yeah, I think, again, you've got to look and look at the history in the last 5 or so years of these international teams. And when you look at France, they won the World Cup in 2018. When you look at Germany, they won the previous World Cup before that in 2014, which still, long time ago, but still factors into the world rankings today. The Euros, 5 years ago, Portugal won it. We'll put them quite high up in the rankings. Belgium haven't really won anything, have they? I mean, they're in the Nations League semi-finals. Credit to them. I can't remember if they were or weren't in the finals last year. I know it was England and Netherlands, and then I can't quite remember who the other 2 teams were that made the finals. I don't know if Belgium were one of them at the very least, but that's the only real competition that they're in right now where they have a chance of winning something. And even then, I don't know if the Nations League will affect world rankings or not. But we'll have to see. I'll stop for a second, though, because might be an opportunity for Belgium to come forward here. It's going to be Axel Witsel into Tielemans. Now towards De Bruyne, who is on that right forward position today. And no doubt will have a lot of the ball in the midfield. All 3 of the forwards consistently transitioning around the pitch. And no doubt we will see a lot of positions which De Bruyne is going to be in. That heat map will be very warm in various positions on the pitch today for the Manchester City playmaker. But yeah, I think for me, it's one of those where Belgium have got to win something here, or they will drop down, for me, probably towards 4th and 7th, I would say, in the world ranking. Because let's not forget, there'll be other teams in this competition that could go further. Germany, England, Italy. I'm thinking of the other teams. Croatia, I don't know how far they are down in the rankings, but I'd assume they're probably in the top 15 at the very least. There are going to be other teams that might go further than them. So if they do go out here in the early stages, they could plummet down the world rankings. As for Portugal, on the other hand, obviously that win in the 2016 Euros will do them very handy indeed in terms of their world rankings. If they could win it again, even better. They might go to world number 1. But there's a chance here for Belgium, and a chance taken on by Eden Hazard from the outside of the box. And a very speculative effort, I think you could say at the very least. And the shot in the end, I think he wanted to try and curl it into the top right-hand corner, Eden Hazard. And we've seen it in the past, when he's outside the box. We know he can get some very good long-range efforts and long-range goals, but unfortunately that will be not one that goes into the highlight reel for the Real Madrid forward. And a chance for Portugal to breathe here, because in this last 5 or so minutes, I think most people will agree that Belgium have looked the most livelier of the two sides. And I don't think that's by a massive margin, but they are giving a little bit of a test here to this Portuguese team that haven't done much in their last few games. Of course, the pressure was slightly on them in the last group game to go out there and get something, but after Germany got that 2-2 draw, we saw the last 10 minutes was pretty dead between Portugal and France. And eventually both teams ended up playing for the draw. So they were both through to the next round. And that was a shame, because I thought the way that the game was panning out, it was looking on for a real potential thriller, that one. And although it was a thrilling day, I was still a little bit disappointed at the way that the last 15 or so minutes ended, because it still could have affected where both of those teams finished. And most importantly, when you look at where the teams finished in the end, in the groups, I wonder if any of these teams are now looking, after today's result against Netherlands and the Czech Republic, whether maybe they wish they did go for it in the end. Because we know, and as Tubbs was saying earlier, the point I wanted to come to, that game between Netherlands and Czech Republic was an interesting one. Not the best first 45 minutes of action. I thought it was average at best. But the Czechs, the instant minute the handball was given, I think everybody, and I think most of you will, and you will probably agree, you were probably pointing or shouting at your screen saying, that's a red card, De Ligt is going to be sent off. And I don't know how it wasn't given instantly. And it's good that VAR is there, because, let's be honest, had VAR not been there, that probably would have been a situation where maybe the Netherlands would have got away with it, because the referee seemed to be in two frames of minds on whether he'd actually given a handball or not, and whether he was going to give a yellow or red. So that was a big positive to have VAR there. But the way that the Czechs took the extra man advantage, they took on the Netherlands, and they showed no fear. And credit to them, they've showed absolutely no fear in this tournament, the Czech Republic. And for me, maybe not the biggest shock in the world. Only reason why I'm saying that is because I think with the way that the Dutch have been in this tournament, a lot of people weren't expecting them to do well. You know, I put them down as my biggest disappointment. KL put them down as the biggest disappointment. And I guess to a certain extent you could say, yes, they are up there as one of the biggest disappointments of the tournament. But credit to the Czechs, because they bloody deserve that. And it'll be brilliant to see one of the Czechs or the Danes in the semi-final. He's got very Euro 90 vibes about it right now, because they're two teams that have had very good history in the past, in the 90s and the 96. And it excites me at the fact we have a real opportunity that one of those two teams could make the final. And for me, I think it's one of those that, as I said before, you know, yesterday, I do think that Denmark might start to look and think to themselves, there is a real good chance that they could make the final. With the way that things are going and how the whole of the world has come together after the whole Ericsson situation, there is an incredible squad unity between those Danish players and their fans. And I'm starting to think whether or not this may be Denmark's time to thrive and maybe make the final. And we'll have to see, because there's a long way to go. Of course, we'll see England against Germany on Tuesday, which Rowan will be covering. I'm going to be out for that game, unfortunately. I'm saying it's unfortunate, but I'm going to be out having a few drinks, so it's a big positive for me. But Rowan will be covering that game, and that'll be a big test indeed, because a lot of people will be looking at that side of the draw now and saying whoever wins that game is the favourite to probably make the final. But don't count out whoever wins that game between Denmark and the Czechs, because right now, I have to say, both of those two sides are looking like the outside favourites to make the final. And I would not put it past Denmark making the final of the competition, if I'm being honest with you. But looking at what you guys were saying in the chat, let me go down a little bit. Chris saying he doesn't know Belgium are number 1 in the rankings. They've won nothing. Neither do I, to be honest. I don't know how they've made it there. They've always been consistent, making late runs. But at the same time, I still think France should be the world number 1 side. And I thought they were, until I heard earlier on that they're not. Chris then said, I do agree, Belgium should have won a tournament already with the squad. They've got their golden generation. Going to end at some point. I think it will end after the World Cup next year. That will be the point where that squad will end. Because obviously when you look at the Belgium team now, and we said about it before, and I'll say it again, all 3 of the centre-backs probably will retire from international football after the 2022 World Cup. Maybe not Alderweireld, maybe he's got another year or 2 in him, but Vertonghen and Vermaelen will be gone, so you lose 2 of your best centre-backs. Eden Hazard's not getting any younger, could see him maybe retiring after the 2022 World Cup, maybe a little bit later. Again, that'll be another one where we'll see another one of the world-class players retire. And when you look at the replacements for them, I think Hazard got a very good replacement in Carrasco, sorted in that position. Centre-backs wise, he's going to be a big, big problem for Belgium when those 3 retire, because they haven't got anybody nowhere near the standard of those other 3 centre-backs that can come into the team now and do as good of a job as the likes of Alderweireld and Vertonghen, which is why I think Belgium will drop down the rankings quite heavily in the next few years, unless we get stars of the future that come through. And I know Doku's one of them. He's a future star. But centre-backs wise and defensively, they're not looking good for the future. And I would be very worried for them indeed. As Chris did say, Carlisle News signing Zach Clough. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube and message me saying he's sorting Carlisle away kit with his name on. Also signed to gift to me. Because he watched my video on us signing him. And he appreciated kind words I said about him. I saw the picture he sent yesterday. I was going to message back. Very lovely from him. Very, very lovely indeed. And it shows when players go out there and they put the time and effort in, it makes you realise, especially in the world of YouTube and social media, that people you don't expect watch your content. You know, obviously, as you said, I bet you never expected Zach Clough to be watching your videos. And the fact that he did, it puts a massive, massive smile on your face to know that a player from your club has sat and watched a video and enjoyed what you said. And that's brilliant. And hopefully it put a big smile on your face, Chris. And, of course, when he's gifting you a signed shirt as well, that's absolutely fantastic. And hopefully you do get that. As Michael is in the stream. How are you doing, Michael? Welcome along. Hope you're all good, my friend. He's put, apparently, Gareth Bale intends to play on for Wales so long as he continues with his football career. As there was a rumour the Euros were going to be his last appearance in a Welsh jersey. Yeah, I know there was a few rumours going around that he was thinking of retiring altogether after the Euros. And to be honest, I didn't believe it. I don't think a player of Bale's quality would retire yet. I know, obviously, he's had his issues with Real Madrid. But when you've still got a fat paycheck coming in at Real Madrid, I don't think he's done there yet. I really don't. I think now Ancelotti's back there, maybe there's a chance we do see Bale in a Real Madrid shirt again, because he's got a very good affiliation with Ancelotti, who played him a lot at Real Madrid. And I think maybe there's a chance he's going to be a bit more of a squad player for Real Madrid next season. And I hope he does, because I still think he's a good player on his day. Had a very good spell at the end of the season for Spurs. And credit to him, because I think, again, he's a very good player on his day. Just hasn't been able to show it enough. And it'd be nice to see him at Real Madrid again, although no doubt the fans will probably get on his back and he'll be booted out the door quicker than we think. As Cal did put the actual teams that were in the Nations League final. It was Portugal, Netherlands, England and Switzerland. Of course, I forgot Portugal were in there because they played Netherlands in the final, and I think it was Bernardo Silva who scored the winner in that game. As there's a chance here for Belgium to come forward. A little bit of a scuffle outside the box, and in the end the referee's actually given a free kick to Portugal. And I've got to say, first 20 minutes of this match haven't been the greatest, have they? Haven't had the drama that I think many of us would have expected in the first 20 minutes. And when you have watched both of these two sides, they've both scored goals quite early on in games. Both of them have had a lot of goals at the end of 90 minutes. We've had 4 goals, of course, which were scored... the 6-goal thriller between Germany and Portugal. We had the 4-goal thriller between France. We had 3 goals against Hungary. As much as we've complained about how they've been put at the back, they've also been very, very lively when putting the ball in the back of the net, Portugal. And so far, I don't think we've really seen anything apart from that one chance from Diogo Jota, which was a very minimal chance at best. And I think you can also say we haven't seen anything from Belgium either. No real clear chances on goal as of yet, apart from the long-range speculative effort which Eden Hazard had. But apart from that, a very quiet game so far. And your comments are making my life much easier right now because the 20 minutes has flown by without really having to talk about this match. Ball lofted long though to Ronaldo, who takes a very good touch. But in the end, Thomas Vermaelen did get the ball away, and the flag has actually gone up for offside and right decision. As I thought for a second we were getting a substitution there because it looked like the referee was making the signal for a substitution, but it's no substitution, and I thought I'd have been quite surprised if we had one after 20 minutes. But play continues. As going back to what I was saying before with the Nations League, when you actually look at that, it's quite surprising, isn't it, to think how weak that actual Final Four was for the Nations League. Because I know this year we've got Belgium, Italy, France and Spain, I think, which is a very, very strong Nations League. And I've said about it before when we did the Nations League goal show right at the very, very start of the season. As much as people complain about it and say it's a pointless tournament, I am one of the very few people, I'm guessing, out there that really likes the Nations League. And I don't know why. There's just something about it. The fact it is a little bit more competitive than your standard friendlies, which makes me like it quite a bit. And maybe I'm just living off the fact that I really enjoyed the first Nations League. And maybe the second one for England wasn't as good. But I like the premise of it. It's definitely working in my eyes. And hopefully, when we do have the finals, which I believe are in October, November time, so we will be covering them, because they'll be very good games indeed. We should have some very good Nations League matches. As Sean's in the building. How are we doing, Sean? Welcome along, my friend. He's put thoughts on Northampton Town making the most transfers in the current window. 7 transfers and a loan signing, Josh. Tell you what, good business. I don't know obviously much about which players have signed. I know he signed Flores from Hull City on loan, I think. But overall, probably a team which arguably needed to do a lot of business. I think you'd agree with me on that one, Sean, that Northampton, especially with how the past has been with lingering relegation and stuff, business needed to be done. And I'll tell you something, especially with the lower leagues, League 1, League 2, it's best to do business early. And Northampton Town doing very good indeed, because my team, Rotherham United, haven't actually done any business yet. We're very, very quiet in the window. We're not linked with anyone, and I don't think we actually have got any intentions of signing any players yet. So it's looking like, for this window for now, it's going to be very quiet for us. As ball lofted along from Thomas Meunier, trying to get it towards Hazard on the left wing, but the ball is very poor, just like this game has been so far. As Chris has put, Denmark, my dark horse, at the start of the tournament. My dark horses didn't finish bottom of the group. And yeah, they're the first team, I think, to finish, to be at the bottom of the group and win the last 2 games, I think they said. Obviously, Portugal made it through their group 5 years ago, without actually winning a game. They drew 3 matches. So, credit to Denmark to do what is technically an even better feat than Portugal, and go from bottom to getting into the last 16. And a big credit to them as well, because, of course, of everything that's going on. It's been a bit of a emotional tournament is probably the best word to use for them. Very emotional indeed. As a lot of comments, keep them coming, guys, as there's calls for a handball here, which has been given by the referee. And there is going to be a free kick here for Portugal. And in a very good position. And, yeah, it was a handball in the end on Vermaelen. He'd gone in for the tackle on Jota. Obviously gone down, and then the hand touch the ball. And we've got a free kick here for Portugal, and as the commentator said on ITV, this is Ronaldo territory. We haven't actually, by the way, had a free kick scored in this tournament yet, which surprises me a little bit because it's been a very weird tournament, hasn't it? We've had more own goals than any other tournament at the Euros, but we've never had a free kick scored in this tournament. Can Ronaldo be the man to break the duct? I will keep your comments coming in a second, so do keep putting them in. Put anything you want to tonight, whether you want to talk about the games coming up at the Euros, or if you want to talk about tonight's game, keep them coming, because we have killed 25 minutes of time very, very quickly indeed. But we'll take a moment to talk about this game, because Ronaldo, probably about 25, 30 yards out, he stood over this free kick. And he takes it, and it's a good effort, which is probably a little bit towards the middle. Courtois punches the ball away. It comes out to Portugal once again, and eventually Courtois is able to get the ball. And obviously we'll see another replay when the ball goes out of play again. But I think that was a very good free kick from Ronaldo. Maybe just a little bit disappointed that he didn't put that to one of the either two sides of the goal. And we would have probably been sat here saying that was the first free kick of the tournament scored. But very good free kick from Ronaldo. And that is the first real chance that we've had of the game on what has been a very quiet start for two sides with lots of very, very good attacking players that you would expect to put the ball into the back of the net. But so far, 25 minutes in, we haven't had a goal. And hopefully we will get one before half-time, because I think we're all expecting plenty of goals in this match. As Kyle said, what a nice thing for Zach Clough to do for you, Chris. Such a great guy. Very nice indeed. You know, you don't get many footballers out there that'll do that. You know, I've said in the past that I was very lucky in the darts to get an interview with Devon Peterson. I'm looking in the summer period to see if I can maybe get another interview at some point with another player from the PDC when, of course, things are a little bit quieter and the players aren't doing as much. So I'm going to try and have a look to see if we can do that. I am looking as well maybe to see if we can get an interview with one player or two players from clubs across Europe. Obviously, a little bit harder when we are a smaller channel, I guess, so it's a bit harder to get people to come on and want to do interviews for, you know, smaller YouTube channels like us. But we're going to try and see if we can get a little bit of summer content out there. But chance here for the ball to be lobbed into the box for Portugal. Jota gets the ball. He's going to lay it into the path here of Rafael Guerreiro. He's going to play it out into the middle. It's going to be Renato Sanchez. Now into the path of Diogo Dalot, who's lofted a very high ball into the box. It's headed away by Thomas Munier, but only into the path of Rafael Guerreiro on the left wing. And, well, Palhinha with a long-range effort, and very similar to the Eden Hazard effort that we had around about 15 minutes or so ago. It was just a little bit too high and wide of the mark. But going to just look at that free kick again from Ronaldo, and it was the dead ball specialist free kick where he looked to dip it towards the bottom left-hand corner, and it actually wasn't as bad of a free kick as I thought. Well, it wasn't a bad free kick. I didn't say it was a bad free kick, but he did put it into the bottom left-hand corner, and I think it's very unfortunate that a goalkeeper like Courtois, who's very tall, I think was a little bit more to the left-hand side anyway, so by the time the Belgian had got down onto the floor, he was going to very comfortably make the save, and a very decent save it was for Courtois. What has been the only chance of the first half an hour. But Michael's saying, Ronaldo is a great example to all sports people in how to look after yourself and maintain such hunger, even in your mid-30s. Loved it when he moved the Coca-Cola bottles and promoted water instead. And yeah, I think there'll be a few things in the past that he has advertised. I know he did actually advertise cola a few years ago, and I think he did. I'm pretty sure I remember doing adverts for KFC at one point. And it was a long time ago. I might be wrong. It might be McDonald's or something like that. But as time goes on, I think he's a very, very well-respected player for what he's done in terms of sport fitness. And, you know, when you look at other players in sports at the very least, I think tennis is another very good example. When you look at the likes of Nadal and Federer, who are in the mid to late 30s, in prime physical condition and at the peak of the powers. And it's a big credit to them, because we know in sport, a lot of people, a lot of sports, you know, NFL, I think, is an example. Tennis. You kind of get towards your 40s and you retire. Same in football. Some players will play to the late 30s. There's the odd one or two players in the world that play till the 40. Buffon is looking like an example of a player that's going to do that. But as an outside player, you kind of get to 36, 37, maybe a little bit younger, and then you retire. And Ronaldo's a prime example of a player that, you know, when you look at him right now, he could genuinely play till he's 40 and still be in prime condition. Ronaldo, obviously the biggest example. Zlatan, another example of a player who, I've got to say as well, with Zlatan, he's a very different player. Because obviously, you know, with Ronaldo, he keeps himself in a prime physical condition. I think Zlatan's a very different player who does keep himself in good physical condition. But again, just because of the way that he is, the mould, the mindset that Zlatan has, I think he's another player in this day and age that deserves so much credit for being at the top of his game and still playing at the highest level of football, because he had that little stint at the MLS, and even himself, he knew that he still had the power and the skill to be at the very top level of football. And now he's going to be playing the OCL again next season with Milan, and I can't wait to see what AC Milan bring to the table next season. Because for me, I think they are definitely going to be very exciting to watch next season in the Champions League, and it should be a very exciting UCL. But we'll have to talk about that as we get a little bit closer on, as we are now half an hour into this game. If you are new to the stream, don't forget to leave a like and a subscription on the channel. Come and join us in the chat. Got a lot to talk about over the next 60 minutes of this game. Lots of action. Maybe not in this game, but in the chat, which is what we like to see indeed. So many comments, which will keep us busy. As Louis in the stream. How are you doing, Louis? Welcome along. Hi, Josh. How are we, mate? Doing very good indeed. Hopefully, you are having a very good day as well. As Tubbs did put in this chat, your streak of boring games continues. It doesn't, because Tubbs, you were not here for my other two games. The streak doesn't continue because a 2-2 and a 4-2 aren't boring games, my friend. So this is technically the start of a new streak for me, because I haven't had a boring game in the last few, actually. Because I'm thinking even before that, I'm thinking what other games I had. I can't remember the game I had before the other ones, but my last two games have been good ones. So this is the start of a new streak, Tubbs. Don't you worry, as I have had some quite good games over the last few weeks, that's for sure. Chris saying, I'm buzzing about it. Not just the fact he had a conversation with me too, which you don't expect football players to do. Yeah, no, I think, obviously, I have personally messaged people sometimes asking them to come on, players of a lower division. A lot of the time you do expect them to not message back, and most of the time they don't even read your message, which is very understandable. You know, the back of the minds as a professional football player, you're not going to be thinking, shall I go and read through my DMs? Because unfortunately, the day and age that we are, as we know, with the amount of campaigns going on in world football, and if you, of course, see in the UK, there's a lot of stuff going on with online hate campaigns. I think most footballers are probably told in this day and age to not look at the private messages because of the unfortunate racism and abuse that footballers get these days. And it's a real shame. It is a real shame. But at the same time, when a player does that and they take the time out of the day to message you, it's very lovely to see, and very, very nice of Zach Clough to do that. As Tubbs says, Bale just being his usual diva. Where do you think he'll go if he does leave Real Madrid, Bale? Because obviously it's always going to be tough to get somebody to go out there and get his wages. He's going to have to drop in wages quite significantly if he does want to move, as we are going to get a free kick here for Belgium. Just past the halfway line. And Diogo Jota, not going to go into the book yet, but a rightly so given free kick for the home side. We'll see what happens with that free kick in a second. As Chris says, last time I had a situation like that was 2015 on my birthday. I met Steven Gerrard at training ground in his last year for Liverpool. Gifted me signed frame Liverpool shirt with his name on it. Organised it with my dad as a surprise. That's lovely. That's very lovely indeed. And I bet that was a very surreal experience for you, Chris, because it's not often you get to meet one of your biggest idols in sport. Or ever. Regardless of whether it is a sporting star or celebrity. It's not often you do get to meet them. And, I mean, thinking about experiences that I've had, as I said, met Devon Peterson That was a very nice experience. Met Ant and Dec, which if you live in the UK, you'll know they're quite big stars in terms of the television side of stuff. So I've met them, which was very nice. And apart from that, I think I met, if you live in the UK, Stephen Mulhern, another person I've met twice actually, funnily enough, and somehow recognised me, which was quite amazing. You kind of think out there, the amount of people that celebrities and footballing stars meet, you don't expect people to remember you, and he did somehow, which was pretty awesome. But apart from that, I can't say I've really met many sporting stars of the past, present, and the future. But Michael did put in the chat, the Dutch won all 3 of their group games, and the Czech Republic only won 1 of their group games. So it just shows you how tough England's group was, particularly at the Czechs' third in England's group. Yeah, I think there'll be a few people in the mindset that it was a tough group, and I think when you do look at it in the long run, the 3 teams in that group all have a very good chance of making the quarterfinals. You know, Croatia will probably feel good about that game against Spain, although they are missing Perisic because he picked up COVID, which is a huge loss for them, and that'll be a big talking point in tomorrow's game, no doubt, when I cover that live at, I think it's 10 to 5 tomorrow, that game, so lots to look forward to there. But I think, obviously, England, if they beat Germany, they're on a very good chance of maybe making the quarters, semis, maybe even the final. The Czechs are in the quarterfinal, again, another team that'll be looking and thinking, we have a very good chance of making the semis or the final. But we'll have to see, because Group D, which was the group England were in, there is a very good chance there could be 2 or 3 teams in the semis, which is crazy when you think about it, because it was actually one of the weakest groups, I guess you could say, in the whole of the group stages. As Benali's in the building, how are we doing? I hope you're all good. Benali's puts driving now, but I'm shocked Slovakia won. I'm confused with that. I'm guessing you meant Czech Republic there, not Slovakia. As seeing as well, Kyle, it was Gedesh who scored that goal, not Bernardo Silva. I thought it was Bernardo Silva. Was it Gedesh? Proves how much I can remember of that game. Wasn't really a memorable final, was it? As Carl says, I think it was. Denmark were the first team to lose their first 2 matches, but still made it out of the group. Yes, it was, I think, from what I know. As there's a chance here for Portugal. Ball's been given away. Might be a chance here for a Belgian counter-attack. Lukaku with a chance to drive forward. It's going to be a 2-on-4. Lukaku's going all the way. Tries to play the ball to Hazard. And in the end, he's just not able to feed the ball towards the captain. Few calls for a free kick to be given, which the referee hasn't. And Belgium will look to try and push forward again. It's going to be Kevin De Bruyne who flicks the ball onto the left-hand side to Eden Hazard. And as much as Lukaku wants to complain about the fact he's not been given a free kick, he's just going to have to get himself focused, because there might be another chance here on for Belgium. Ball on the left-hand side for Meunier. And could be a chance here for the outside of the foot shot, and well, it was a speculative effort from Thomas Meunier. And we saw a certain Luka Modric in that game which I covered, which has just reminded me, the last game that I did cover, before the other few matches, was Croatia against Scotland, which was another 4-goal game, Tubbs. So, technically speaking, the last 3 matches I had 4 goals, 6 goals, and 4 goals. So, I've been quite lucky over the last few days with my games. But jokes aside, very good effort there from Thomas Meunier. Tries to go with the outside of his foot. Not enough curl on the ball, but a very good chance at the very least. And that is probably Belgium's first real opportunity of the game. And a very good effort at the very least. As Michael's saying, Nations League gives other groups. By the way, sorry, these comments were from about 15 minutes ago, but the amount of comments you guys have been bringing into the stream, I will get to them. So I do apologise, because you've made this first half very easy for me. I was expecting to be sat here probably commentating for most of the 40 minutes. But it's kind of turned the opposite way. I've not really had to commentate on the game because, 1, there's not really much going on. And 2, you guys have brought so many comments. I'm still on comments from about 15 minutes ago. So I will get to them. So do keep them coming, because it's been a very quick 40 minutes for me. As there's a long ball over the top here. Chance taken on by Diogo Dalot. But he's offside in the end. And the flag goes up. And unfortunately, another chance where one of the Portuguese players have been flagged as offside in the end. But Michael did say, Nations League gives the smaller European nations an opportunity to qualify for major tournaments like the Euros. It helps Scotland and North Macedonia to qualify through the Nations League. And yeah, I agree with you. I think I have to say, as much as some people will find the Nations League boring, I think the bottom half of games in the Nations League, if you look back at the teams like the North Macedonias, the San Marinos and the teams like that, there were quite a few thrillers in their games. I think the Faroe Islands have been involved in quite a few thrillers in their games. And obviously, yes, the standard of football is not to the same extent as the bigger teams. That's expected. But would North Macedonia have ever qualified for this competition had the Nations League not been there? Maybe yes, probably not. And that has to be a lot of credit to the Nations League because it's gifted a lot of teams a good opportunity. I'm going to stop for a second though because there's a chance here for Portugal. It's going to be Diogo Jota on the right wing. Now Bernardo Silva tries to cross the ball into the box and Portugal will get a corner. And that is a really, really good moment there for Renato Sanchez, who was the man who drove Portugal forward. And he started in his own half, must have gone about 40, 50 yards up the pitch, and then played the ball forwards to Bernardo Silva. And I will talk about him in a little bit, because he's one player that I have to say has been heavily linked with moves away from Lille after a spectacular season in France, where, of course, Lille did win the league, and rightly so. But I will talk about him in a second, because the Portugal corner's been taken. It's been played short. Rafael Guerra takes the long shot from outside the box. It's going to be Renato Sanchez with a ball flicked into the box. Ball comes down towards Cristiano Ronaldo. But it is going to be a free kick given to Belgium. And unfortunate there is, I think they are saying it was a foul from Ruben Dias on, I think it was Kevin De Bruyne. Take the lead and a spectacular finish from Thorgan Hazard, who makes it 1-0 to Belgium. And what a strike it was. He took it on from the left-hand side of the box. And it's just one of those positions where you actually watch the ball. The ball just curls away from Rui Patricio. And I don't think even he expected the way that the effort was taken on in the end from Thorgan Hazard. It curled away. And I think, will there be some people saying he's got to save that? I think there will be, yes. But the dip and the curl on that ball for Thorgan Hazard to get it away from Rui Patricio is spectacular. And just like that, a game which, as I said, has missed the quality, finally gets it 42 minutes in. And no doubt, Roberto Martinez's halftime team talk might have just changed a little bit. And it means now it's 1-0 to Belgium with 2 minutes to go before halftime. And I was going to come on to your comment a moment ago, Daz, with the England changes. I will come on to it very shortly because there might be a chance here for Portugal. It's going to be Rafael Guerra on the left wing. Ball played out to Diogo Jota. He's got numbers in the box. He's going to go out to the right-hand side. Ball played towards Bernardo Silva. Tries to lay it towards Ronaldo, but the pass is just a little bit too weak. And Belgium, well-deserved goal, I think you have to say, in terms of how the game's been played out. Very, very brilliant finish. And as Kyle said, great goal. But yeah, Patricio should be saving that, but that's just me. It did have dip, but when you see the replay back, I think there will be a few calls that he should have saved that, as I said earlier, and Kyle is agreeing with that. He's experienced enough, as Tubb says, to save those. But no doubt, you can't take away the class of the finish from Thorgan Hazard there, who now has 2 goals in 3 matches. And a very good tournament he's had so far. As Belgium look to come forward again, referee's going to play the advantage. It's going to be Eden Hazard. It's a 2-on-3. Lukaku's with him. Thomas Meunier's on the right. He's got the ball, Meunier. Tries to play it towards Lukaku. And in the end, the ball is shanked back to Rui Patricio by Dalot. And again, a little bit of a warning sign there for Portugal, As we did say, there's going to be a yellow card coming out for Palhinha, who goes into the book for that tackle on De Bruyne at the halfway line, as the referee did play the advantage. And hopefully De Bruyne is okay, because he was absolutely hacked down by the Sporting midfielder. And it was not the best of tackles in the world. We know obviously De Bruyne has only just come back quite recently from an injury in that Champions League final. And the last thing you want to see here is a player of De Bruyne's quality subbed off in a game of this magnitude. But we'll have to see as looking at what you guys have been saying in the chat. As I said, I'm still going through your comments from about 10 minutes ago, so do keep them coming. And I will go through them at half-time as well. Daz, you did ask about the changes from the Germany game. While De Bruyne is down, yes, I do think there'll be a few changes in that match. I think Saka has to stay in the team because he was brilliant in that match against the Czech Republic, from what I heard. Didn't get to watch it, so I don't know, but I would keep him in if he played well. I think Foden's going to come back in. I think Grealish will probably play some part in that match, as we're just seeing that Hazard goal again, and yeah, he's got to save that, Patricio. I think he has to, but you just can't take the class away from the goal, and the dip probably did catch the Portuguese goalkeeper off guard, but you can see how close he is to the ball. He might have just got the slightest of fingertips onto it, but either way, I don't think Hazard will care at all, as I think Foden, will have to come in for the game. And apart from that, I don't think we'll see any other changes in the squad, in my opinion. I think the backline will stay the same as what it did in that game against the Czechs. And I think Kane will still be up top as well. So that's how I think we'll play the game out on is it Tuesday, I think? 4-2-3-1. Saka on the right, Foden on the left, Grealish in the middle. And then pretty much the same as what we had against the Czechs. That's what I think will happen in that game. As looking at what you others, the other comments in the chat, Chris said in terms of celebrities he's met, Peter Manley, Steven Gerrard, and Jack Butland, only people I've met face to face. Louis saying who remembers the FIFA 22 of the week predictions. There were some class retro videos. Good times, very good times indeed. Might bring them back in the future if I can be bothered. Might be a chance here though for Portugal. Ball loaded into the box towards Ronaldo. It's not going to come towards him. Going to be a chance here for Palinha, who takes the effort on from outside of the box, but again, just a little bit too high from the Sporting midfielder, and that will go out of play for a goal kick, and should be pretty much half-time in a second. I would assume the referee will blow the whistle fairly quickly, as Chris saying, obviously I haven't met Zach Clough face-to-face. Who knows, I might, if he's delivering the signed shirt. Would be nice if he did. We'll have to see whether or not he does. Louis saying, I played a leg of darts with Wayne Mardle, if that's any good. I think that counts. Mr. 56 checkout. You nearly beat him as well, so technically I think that counts on the board, but I will go through the rest of your comments in a second because we are at half-time of this game between Belgium and Portugal, and honestly, the goal itself was a moment of brilliance from Thorgan Hazard. A fantastic finish, which, yes, Rui Patricio should have saved. Saved in my opinion. But take away from that, not the best game in the world. Not many chances from either side. Probably when you look at the best of the chances in the game, take away that Hazard chance, there was one opportunity where I think Lukaku should have probably done better with the ball. We could have been sat there saying Belgium 1-0. Meunier as well with outside of the foot shot, which was a very good effort. As for Portugal, not had many chances in the game at all. Few outside of the box efforts from Palinha and a little chance from Jota. But apart from that, not really anything in the game at all from Portugal. And Belgium, as Kyle did say, he's thinking that they could win this quite comfortably. They are looking quite comfortable in the game so far, and Portugal have been very, very poor in this game and are continuing on from kind of where they left off in the Euros. And they've got to put in a big 45 minutes because so far, even Ronaldo's been quiet in this game, and he's going to have to, at some point, turn up in this match because they need him right now, especially being 1-0 down. They've only got 45 minutes to save themselves. But as I said, I am literally at Benaldo's comments, which were about 10 minutes ago. So keep your comments coming in. What I do want to ask you guys in the chat, before we talk through what's coming up on the channel and that, if you are an England fan, of course, what team would you put out for that game between England and Germany on Tuesday? I'd be interested to know what you guys would play system-wise in that match on Tuesday night. Of course, that game is going to be covered on the channel, as are the rest of the fixtures in the round of 16. But if you are into the stream, don't forget to leave a like and a subscription on the channel. It's not just me that covers the games on the channel. We've got a lovely team of fantastic people. We've got myself, we've got Kieran D and Kieran L. Obviously, I haven't seen much of Kieran D recently. If you're wondering why, it's because he does work, so it's a little bit harder to get him on to do the watch-alongs. So you might not see a great deal of him during the Euros, unfortunately, but he will be back for the beginning of next season. Same with Will as well. You might be wondering why Will's not been on for a great deal of time in this tournament, if at all. Again, he works, so unfortunately we're probably not going to see a great deal of Kieran D and Will throughout this tournament. So we will see them again for the beginning of next season. If not, we might see them once or twice before the end of this tournament at the very least. But we've got a whole host of us on this channel. We are covering the whole of the Euros. Every game, pretty much, apart from one or two, have been covered on the channel. And we will also be covering the rest of the round of 16. And the next, 2 or 3 days of action is looking a little bit like this. We've got the second half of Belgium, Portugal. That'll be coming up in about 10 minutes' time. So do stick around on the channel, because we'll be going through all of your comments, as well as what should be a very entertaining second half. I'll be back tomorrow for the 5 o'clock game. Croatia taking on Spain. Should be a firecracker of a match, that one. And then, of course, France take on Switzerland. It will be Kieran L covering that game. I'll be jumping in and out of the stream. That's at 10 to 8 tomorrow for that match. And then, of course, the big one, England take on Germany. That's on Tuesday at 10 to 5. You can join Rowan for that match. He's going to be covering that game live on the channel. Should be a very exciting game indeed. And no doubt, if you are an England fan and you watched that game today between the Netherlands and the Czechs, you might just have got yourself a little bit more excited for that game on Tuesday, knowing that whoever wins that match has got a very good run to the final. But don't count out the Czechs and the Danes, or the Swedes, in my opinion, either, because Sweden look very good in this competition, and I think that they should be up there as good candidates to maybe go on a good run themselves. But that is what's coming up on the channel over the next few days. Don't forget, if you want to see when we do go live, maybe you do forget in the meantime on what's to come on the channel, then links are in the description and in the chat, as Kyle does as always. Our Twitter is at @the_top corner, and our Instagram is _sportscorner_. I keep forgetting to put up on Instagram when we're live. I do apologise. I usually run it on my own. I should probably get somebody else to run it with me. But either way, links are in the description and in the chat as always. Do go and check them out if you want to know when we do go live, if you do forget. And there'll be a link in the tweets as always. But that, of course, is pretty much everything in terms of the advertisements at half-time. Let's have a look at your comments quickly. I'm not going to go through all of them yet. I'll keep some of them for the second half, just because if this game is a little bit boring in the second half, then we've got some stuff to talk about. But I did ask you guys earlier, where do you think Bale would go? Kyle did say, where would Bale go? On the back of the tractor, mate. To be fair, with the way his season and his career's been over the last 5 years, probably on the back of a hospital bed, if we're being honest with you, because the poor guy hasn't had much luck, has he, with injuries at all. But Kyle has been saying as well, Tubbs put this in the chat. Just a suggestion, Josh. How about trying to DM retired players, for example, Rotherham United, for a little chat? Would be great connection and have a little chat. I will say, and it is something in the pipeline potentially. I'm not going to say it's done or anything, but I did DM a few FL clubs to see if we could get potential players on. I did message Rotherham to see if we could get somebody on the channel. They did say come back in the summer, which I'm going to do at some point. So maybe there's a potential chance that we do get someone on from an EFL club in the future. We'll have to see, of course, but there could be something in the pipeline in the summer, because, as we said before, this channel will get very quiet in the summer after the Euros. There's not going to be a great deal of streams. It'll be probably very quiet for a month or two. You know, when you actually look at what's to come, football-wise and sporting-wise, I'm not going to be covering the next darts tournament because I'm not going to be there, but I'm going to be watching it and just relaxing, because it'll only be a week after the Euros, so I think it'd be nice to take a good break, a nice extended one at the very least. We're not going to be covering club friendlies because they're not on TV, and most of all, it's just a good chance for us to take a break. And no doubt when we get to August, September time, we'll be back for football, for all of the big games coming through the Premier League and the other 5 main leagues in football, and we'll be covering a whole host of new matches, which we're very excited for. But for now, I haven't got actually BTR Sky because I cancelled them. It might just mean for me, I get them a little later on because I might have got a box, potentially, which I'm going to be using in the future to watch games. So I'm going to have to see, of course, whether or not that will come in handy for future matches. But as for now, we'll have to see whether or not what games come our way, because obviously the schedule's getting sorted out now. We've got the Premier League, and I think the rest of the official leagues, apart from La Liga, have now brought out their schedules for the next season. So, of course, very excited to see what big games we'll be covering early on in the season. I know, I think KL said yesterday something about wanting to cover the Bayern Gladbach game, which is the first game of the season in Germany, and no doubt it probably will be one of the games he might cover. But for now, we'll talk about all of the action with league football when we get a little bit closer, because there's a long, long way to go until then, and it's one of those where I think we've got quite a while, isn't it, before the main league start. There is, of course, Olympic football going on, but again, I don't think we'll really be covering the Olympic football either. Unless some of the lads wanted to, then fair dues, maybe there might be more football, but I think it'd be a good time for us to take a break, because when you think about it, we have been doing watch-alongs pretty much non-stop with all of the sports for pretty much nearly a year now of non-stop action. When you think about it, it's been endless football, so it'd be nice for us to take a break for a few weeks or so. But apart from that, there'll be a few other watch-alongs. As said, Rowan will still be doing F1, so the channel won't be fully dead. There might be other sneaky videos on there, some interviews, some different videos over the summer, but it means we do get a little bit more free times to ourselves, which I think is fully deserved after all the hard work we've done for what has been a good, 10 or so months. I mean, Daz said, how about a Wimbledon watch-along? True, but I think the only problem with Wimbledon as well is tennis is a very, very hard sport to do watch-alongs on. I think purely, number one, it's a very hard sport to really commentate on anyway, because it's a very long sport. Some games will be 3-4 hours long. And more than anything, because Wimbledon is on while the Euros are on, it would mean either A, I'd have to cover it, because the other lads I don't think watch Wimbledon. I'd have to cover it while the Euros are on. And more than anything, it would just cause burnout. I think we've done a hell of a lot of watch-alongs over the last 10 to 11 months that a break is thoroughly deserved, at the very least. And that's probably what we will do throughout the summer period. But less of that, because we don't want to talk about that. We will have I'm not going to take a break, actually, to be honest with you, because then the half will start up very shortly, if we're being honest. Probably about 5 or so minutes until we do get into the second half of the match. But I'm going to go through some of your comments, because I'm now 20 minutes behind on all of your comments, and I think it would be nice to get through the rest of your guys' comments that haven't been able to read while the football has been on. But Louis did say, of course, we talked about the Nations League earlier, he said, love an Armenia v Gibraltar game at 3-3 Nations League Group D thriller. And exactly, I really like the Nations League, because for me it was just one of those where ultimately we've just had so many good games from the Nations League that probably don't get enough appreciation. The lower games in the lower groups, there were a lot of thrillers in there. A lot of thrillers. And yes, there won't have been many people watching them because they don't care about international football and they don't care about the smaller teams enough. But those are games where the smaller teams have to go for it, because it does give them the opportunity to make the Euros and things like that. And of course, we got plenty of very good games indeed. And it gave the North Macedonia the opportunity to come here and give themselves a very good account, and credit to them, because I think North Macedonia did play well in this competition for what was expected of them, at the very least. Chris did put, our Clash of Nations League as a qualification tournament will never be a Euros or World Cup ever, in my opinion. I will always count it as qualification tournament, but that's my opinion. Might change my mind in the years to come. Yeah, I understand to a certain extent. I don't think, I do agree with you, I don't think it will ever become as big as the Euros or the World Cup, but I also don't think that's the intention of it. I don't think they want to make it the next big Euros or World Cup tournament. I think it is just more there to go out there and make these friendly type games a little bit more competitive than what they were before, because I think arguably, whether you agree or not, I do think they have actually made them more competitive than what they were in the past. I think we saw a lot of friendlies And even a prime example, a lot of the friendlies that we saw before the Euros were pretty boring, if I'm being honest with you. While the Nations League, because there's something on the line, it does bring a little bit more of a competitive nature. The fact that it's got a knockout system at the end makes it even more exciting, and I like that about it. And again, when England and when other teams do make it to the last four, you do get a little bit excited because something is on the line. And although, yes, it's not one of those where I think many people will say, yes, I remember when Portugal won the Nations League a few years ago, but it brings a chance for success for other teams. You know, Switzerland, they're a team that, had they won the Nations League a few years ago, that would have been a massive achievement for them because they still had to come up against a lot of the top dogs along the way. And that's a big credit to what the Nations League has brought to the table, because it is one of those competitions that I think will build and grow as time continues. But for now, it's in its very early stages. You know, this is only the second Nations League in its history. So I think as time goes on, it will progress and develop more as a competition. And no doubt, I hope people like it more as it continues on. But obviously, I'm now at the comments which you guys said about the goal. Michael saying, a great summer of sport, particularly football with the Euros and Copa America. The Olympic Games, of course. The Football Gold Cup tournament, which, yeah, that's going on as well. I think that's starting, is it in a week's time that competition begins? So it is pretty much endless football when you think about it. Because the Euros finish, and let me get my calendar up for the moment and just kind of get a rough idea. So basically, when the Euros finish, which is the final, which of course is on the 11th of July, when you actually look at how the calendar's panning out, if you are a bit of a football freak like myself, and you are looking for more football once the Euros are done, and you're not really too fussed what you want to watch, then Copa America and the Euros finish on the same day. Copa America final earlier hours of the morning. Euro 2020 final, is at 8 o'clock in the UK. So 2 finals in the space of 24 hours. I think Wimbledon final is on that day as well, so that'll be brilliant. But then after that, the CONCACAF Gold Cup starts as well. So that's going on at the same time. And the group stages of that start, I think, a day after the final or a day before the final. So if you're looking for more international football, then there's some very different teams in that competition. But there's more football at the very least for you people that want a little bit more action. So that's very nice. And then even after that, literally about a week after the Euros have finished, the men's Olympic and women's, of course, let's not forget, they start 10 days after the Euros final. And there's some big games in there. I know Brazil and Germany are playing in the group stages of that first group stage match. So that should be a cracker of a game. Big players being called up for that tournament as well. A lot of big stars indeed. So it's not even a case of the smaller players being called up. There's some very recognisable players who didn't make the under-21s or the actual Euro squad. So I'm really looking forward to the Olympics football because it should be very exciting indeed. So even then, more action to come, and makes it very exciting indeed. But looking at your comments as we do get towards the second half, Chris saying his lineup. I did ask you guys in the chat what you would go for your lineups in the game between England and Germany. Chris has gone Pickford, Walker, Stones, Maguire, Shaw. He's gone Rice and Henderson as the back two. Sancho, Grealish, Sterling. I forgot about Sancho. Shit, yeah. I tell you what, maybe take out Saka then and put Sancho in. Or play Saka and Sancho together, but then you're dropping Foden, which again is very harsh. And then he's gone Sterling, Kane. Completely forgot about Sancho. That proves how he's not had enough game time in this tournament that we forgot he's even there. As Carlos put, no matter what Team England put out, they're going to get battered by the Germans. No, honestly, Kyle, like, jokes aside, I don't really want to talk too much about that game. Obviously, I don't want to kind of put too much limelight on it because we're here for Belgium against Portugal. But I think for me, I don't know if anybody else will disagree or agree. I know Tubbs will know a little bit more in the chat about Germany than most of us will, being a Bayern fan himself. I think that this is one of the most unpredictable England versus Germany games there has probably been ever or in a long time. I think neither of the two teams have necessarily been great in this tournament so far or over the last few years. I think the expectations for both teams, on a realistic sense, are unknown. You don't really know what's expected of England. Yeah, of course, the media have been saying we're going to win it and that, but take that aside for a second. I don't really know what's expected of England by Southgate, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know what he thought this team could go to in terms of his expectations and what the FA are expecting, at the very least. As for Germany, I don't really know what they expect of themselves. I think the expectations for them will have massively gone up as the second half of this game has started, by the way. But I think for me, it's probably one of the most exciting England versus Germany games. I personally hope, look, at the end of the day, if England were to win the game and it was a boring 1-0, I don't really care, to be honest with you. I literally would be happy if England won every game 1-0 in the tournament and it was boring to watch, because England would lift it, they'd win it. Yes, it was boring, but they won it. Doesn't really matter how you win it. Look at Portugal, for example. They didn't play amazing in the Euros, and they won it eventually in the end in 2016. So anybody could do the same, but I think we are going to have a change here already, because Kevin De Bruyne is struggling, and this is a big, big blow for Belgium. And after 1 minute and 30 seconds in the second half, he's already had injuries with the Champions League final, and now it looks like here he's going to be substituted for Dries Mertens, which is a real shame, because I don't know, kind of, if I'm being honest with you, why they tried to put him out for the second half if they knew there was the gamble of him making his injury worse. But De Bruyne is going to come off. Whether this is a precaution or not, I don't know. Probably more likely that, as we see now, as he sprinted for the ball. Oh no, sorry, they're showing the replay for the tackle in the first half. I think, yeah, he just had to come off here, and I don't know why they started him in the second half, because it's a risk to take. But De Bruyne comes off, Dries Mertens comes on, and hopefully we will have to see whether we see more of De Bruyne in this tournament or not, because that is a real hammer blow for Belgium. The creative spark of the tournament for the side so far is off the pitch. As for Dries Mertens, though, what he does bring to the table is a little bit more pace, a little bit more prolific as well as De Bruyne. Of course, the all-time top goal scorer for Napoli in Serie A, which is bonkers, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think he's appreciated as much for what he's brought to the table in Serie A. For me, one of the most underrated Belgian players in this side, and one of the most underrated Serie A footballers in the last decade. The fact that he is the Napoli all-time top goal scorer, he never gets mentioned. And for me, that's bonkers, because he's one of the best players that Belgium's brought out in the last decade or so, in terms of how underrated he is. But that's my opinion, I guess you could say. Daz saying he had a little bet on Wimbledon. Federer to win in Djokovic in the final, 16-1. Not bad odds, I would have to say. As Kyle and Chris going at each other in the chat with the jokes. Poor Kyle, I'll be honest with you, right? I know I said it myself a few weeks ago, but I do feel sorry for you, because obviously as an Irish fan, you just know in the back of your head that whatever you say, everybody's always going to say to you, well, you're not in the tournament anyway, at least we made it. And that must get so annoying for you. Same with Scotland in the past, when they've not been in tournaments, or like this time, for example. Obviously, when Scottish fans now talk, everybody is always just going to say to them, well, you got knocked out in the group stage anyway, so it doesn't matter, you're irrelevant. It's banter at the end of the day, though, I guess, isn't it? As Daz says, Josh, are you still covering F1? How about a Wimbledon Watchalong? Obviously, I said about the Wimbledon one earlier. Yeah, Rowan will still be covering F1. The reason why he's not covering it now was, of course, because of the Euros and the 2 o'clock kickoffs. Hence why he wasn't covering it. But I'm pretty sure when the F1 is back on again, which I don't know when it is, to be honest with you. I don't know when the next race is. I don't know if there was one today even. Once the Euros are done, then yeah, Rowan will probably be covering the Euros, because that will most likely be one of the only sports left on the channel over the next few weeks. As Michael Brown saying, great to see Hartlepool being promoted back to Football League 2. Yes, I mean, that game was incredible, wasn't it? The playoff final. Dallo has gone into the book for a yellow card. I don't know what the foul was for, because I was looking at the comments, but I think it was a foul on Eden Hazard, from what we're looking at. And I'm going to see it now. And just, yeah, dragged Eden Hazard back. Right decision in the end to give that as a yellow card. Bit of a warning there for Dallo. As Kyle says, with all the bids that you guys have done, you deserve a massive break. So go buy some Kit Kats to enjoy. I think we need to buy a lot of Kit Kats, Kyle, because, yeah, it will be a little bit of a break. Quite a long one, to be fair, but it does allow us to recharge the batteries for the league matches. It just means we might start the league matches a little bit later than the beginning of the season. Or for me, at the very least, I might be starting a little bit later, because, as I said, I've got a box, but I don't think my box actually starts till September time. I got it bought as a gift for my birthday, which was very nice indeed. So it might actually be a few weeks where I'm not on the channel, and maybe the other guys are, and kind of running the show for a bit. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. As Michael Brown saying, 11th of July, Gold Cup starts. Yeah, it's not long at all, is it, till it starts? So plenty more football action to come if you're into international football at the least. And then Chris has put a few comments in the chat. I don't want Sterling to start, but he's only one who scored the goals. I think we can beat Germany. They are beatable, but I'm not confident we will beat them. I think Germany are better mentality-wise. But then I think you could say at the same time, are they right now? I think we're both in a very similar position. I think the mentality of Germany right now is a little bit shook. I think that Hungary game might have been the big wake-up call they needed after that brilliant result, the 4-1 win against Portugal. That was the game where I think, you know, that's the best of Germany. And if that Germany turns up, then yeah, there's a potential chance for us to get absolutely spanked up. And Kyle would be very right indeed. But I also think at the same time, you never really know what Germany's going to turn up, because as much as there's that version of them, we've also seen the version that played against Hungary, where they pretty much just scraped through a draw against Hungary. And then we've also seen other games in the past, like the Sweden and the South Korea game at the World Cup, where they were terrible and they didn't get anything out of it. But Chris saying as well, a winner of England-Germany will surely fancy the chances to reach the final with the route that they have. I think, yeah, being realistic, those two teams, if whoever wins it, should expect to make the final. And that is no discredit to the Czechs, the Danes, the Swedes, or the Ukrainians. Just from an honest, on-paper sense, whoever wins that game should make the final, in a realistic sense. But with the way that the tournament is, any of those teams could provide a shock. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did. You know, let's say if Germany do make it through, or England, it really wouldn't surprise me if a team like Sweden or Ukraine were one of the sides that were able to knock them out. Because I think Sweden are a very organised side. And whoever does face them, if they do go through, of course, they're not going to be easy to beat because they're so organised. And I think they've got quality players, Sweden. Same with Ukraine. I think out of the two sides, I would probably back Sweden more to beat Ukraine. I think they're such an organised team. Ukraine, very 50-50. But I'm going to stop for a second because there's a chance from outside the box from Ronaldo on the volley. Blocked in the end by Vermaelen. And it's going to be a Portugal throw-in a very decent position. And maybe a chance here for Portugal to try and get something. They've not had a chance yet in the second half. As Jota tries to feed a ball in towards Ronaldo. Cleared away by Vermaelen. And again, Portugal just looking a little bit quiet in the second half so far. Not really much going on in terms of this game for the away side. But they need to get into it pretty quickly. As Chris saying, Scotland know the tournament, they'll probably reach for another 20 years. You can banter them for now, but if we are out by Tuesday, then everybody will be bantering us, and rightly so. Because I think there's a lot of England fans out there giving it the big one. I was joking today saying we've won it, but as I said, realistically, if we win the game against Germany, we should go quite far. But this is England we're talking about. We don't know whether to trust ourselves or not. But we'll find out on Tuesday. As Daz asked in the chat, next week or the week after next, F1 Josh. You would have to ask Rowan for that, whether he wants to do any or not. As I said, I don't know if he wants to wait till after the Euros are done and then cover the F1. Which if so, then I don't know when the next F1 race would be after the 11th of July. But if he does want to cover it, then it would be best to ask Rowan to find out on his next stream, which will be the England match on Tuesday. Because, as I said, I've got no idea in terms of what games he wants to cover. As we are going to have a change here for Portugal. João Felix is going to get his first stint in a Portugal shirt at the Euros. He comes on for João Moutinho. And then Bernardo Silva is going to come off. And Bruno Fernandes is going to come on. And two very attacking changes for Portugal, which have certainly been needed in this game. Because so far, I think you could agree, that as much as Portugal are starting to look a little bit better in this last 5 or so minutes, the attacking side of play has been very weak from them. And Cristiano Ronaldo's not had much to do in this game so far. Probably the brightest spark for Portugal has been Renato Sanchez. And that is a big, big credit to him. As Carl says, I have great memories of Euro 2012 and 16. Would love Republic of Ireland to reach 2022 World Cup. But our qualification chances are dead. Are you in the group with... Is it Portugal you're in with? I'm going to try and have a look now and see what your group is. I'm pretty sure you've got... Is it Portugal, Hungary, Belarus? World Cup qualifiers. Let me have a look and find out. I want to see what group you're in. I'm pretty sure you're in quite a tricky group. Yeah, that's it. So it's not Portugal, Hungary. Serbia, Luxembourg. Yeah, I can't see you qualifying from that, if I'm honest with you. It would require you winning every single game, and then Portugal and Serbia probably dropping at least 5 points or something like that. And I just don't see that happening, if I'm honest with you. Very tough group, that, when you think about it, because Portugal and Serbia are two very good sides on the day. Very surprised Serbia didn't make it to the Euros, actually, because, again, you know, when you look at the list of teams that haven't made it, Serbia, Bosnia are two big sides that haven't made it. Ireland as well. Very disappointing, and another reason why I think people don't like the fact that the smaller teams make it through. Long ball over the top towards João Felix, who doesn't get a touch in the end. And that's very unfortunate for him, because it looked like there he was going to get a touch, although I do think Felix would have been offside. As Portugal definitely getting into the game now. As you would expect, with half an hour left, they've got to go for it and try and get something back in the game. And it's Ronaldo into Bruno Fernandes. Back to Ronaldo. Lovely ball into the box. Chance for Jota. And what an opportunity it would have been as it skims over the bar and out of play for a goal kick. And that definitely is the best chance that the away side have had in the second half of this game. And it was a really, really good bit of work there from Ronaldo, who just gets a lovely ball to Jota. And he's got to do so much better there, Jota. I really think he's got to be putting that at least on target, if not in the back of the net. And Fernando Santos, the manager, he a little bit disappointed that chance isn't in. He's happy with the chance as Portugal looks to come forward again. Sanchez is at the edge of the box, but he's giving it away. And a free kick will go to Belgium, with Hazard going down for a tackle from Renato Sanchez. As Chris says, it would sum England up to beat Germany, then get knocked out by a team we should be beating. That's what I feel is going to happen. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Who knows? It's one of those where I'm just going in, if I'm being honest with you, and I said this when we covered the France and Germany games, I'm going to it with a neutral perspective that, look, I just hope that the game's a cracker. I'd love England to win it, but if it's a cracker, and let's say Germany win it and it's 3-2 or something like that, then I'll also look at the game and say, as much as I'm an England fan and it's disappointing we're out, it was a very enjoyable game to watch, because I think, and I don't look at games, I look at games sometimes, even as a neutral, when I support my local side and that, and I think, sometimes when you lose, but they're crackers, and I think a lot of people will agree, deep down there's a little bit of you that enjoys it, because you were part of a very enjoyable match. And yes, I know in some occasions you lose games and it's disappointing, but there's a chance here for Belgium, who are throwing goal. Brilliant work from Ruben Dias, but the flag's off. For offside anyway. And the chance there for Belgium to come forward doesn't come to anything in the end. And rightly so, with the correct decision made by the linesman, who has had to put up his flag quite a few times today with the offside decisions. But yeah, I think as a neutral, I'll just enjoy the game, because it's one of those matches on paper that will be very enjoyable to watch, and I will enjoy it no matter what happens, regardless of whether England do go out or not. I will have a good time with some drinks in hand, and I am desperately tonight sprawling to find somewhere in the UK that I can actually find a pub to go and watch, because my problem is right now is I haven't got anywhere I can go to watch it, but I am going to be searching tonight, as there's a chance here for João Felix with the header, but it's straight into the hands of Thibaut Courtois. And again, a very easy clutch for Courtois, who's not had much to do in the game. When you think about it, in this last hour or so, he's not really had anything to do, has he? Thibaut Courtois. Very, very quiet game for him. And that is a credit to how the Belgian backline have played. We might have called them pensioners, but the old guard certainly don't need to be taught new tricks because they are doing brilliantly right now. It's just whether a case of they can hold on for half an hour more or whether maybe we have a chance of extra time or penalties because we saw it yesterday. We might see it again as Michael saying in the chat, I can't feel sorry for the Welsh team as I remember during Euro 2016 how they celebrated like mad in their hotel, caught on film when Iceland knocked out England in the last 16. I think as well, and it's a point that I don't really understand to a certain extent. I think Chris Gunter came out with it, and I think it was just something to do with the amount of miles that Wales had to travel in terms of the tournament, as Bruno Fernandes is going to take an effort on from outside of the box, and it's high and wide and out of play for a goal kick. But I think he came out with something like they travelled 3,000 miles, and there were other teams that hadn't travelled anywhere. I think that was kind of a little bit of a nod to England not travelling. But let's be honest, I'm pretty sure in the last tournament, a lot of teams had to travel thousands of miles at Russia when the World Cup was on. And when you're a host nation as well, nobody complains that the host nation don't travel. And it was a very different tournament this year from the Euro perspective. The fact that there were so many different teams hosting it. And I kind of liked it. Obviously, before COVID, I thought it was a great idea. The fact that a whole host of different nations cover it. There's a chance that, for example, England haven't covered a big competition for years. The fact that there were fans that could go and watch these games, as Lukaku takes on an effort from outside the box this time. And it's another speculative effort, but this time wasn't too far away from the goal from the Belgian forward. But it needed to be good effort if Lukaku wanted to score it. It's a bobbling ball, takes it on, and it's a good chance, but a little bit high and wide of the mark. As I will come back to what I was saying in a second. Daz has asked, if we get to the semi-final, where do we play? I can answer that no problem, Daz. So if we make the semi-final, our game will be in Wembley. The rest of the matches in the semi-finals are all played at Wembley. So it really is a case of pretty much our only game away from home would be the quarter-final, which would be played in Rome. Apart from that, the rest of the competition we would play at Wembley. So we would genuinely be the home nation for the rest of the tournament, and England would be the reps of the competition till the very end if they were to go through. But let's keep calm, everyone. As Carl's saying, Chris saying, all I've got to say to Wales, see you Wales, mine head on the exit door, I got some tissues for your dragon tears. It was a very poor performance, wasn't it, from them, 4-0 against Denmark. Another game that I did watch, very, very poor from them, and a big, big credit to Denmark, because for me, I would have to say Denmark are the best looking side of the tournament so far now. They have changed completely since obviously what happened in match day 1, and I have to say, they look very hard to stop. They've not got the strongest front line in the world, but they're bloody hard workers. And who would have thought that Martin Braithwaite, the absolute beast that he is, would be very, very good for Denmark. He's a cracking player and he puts a shift in. And he's certainly been doing that in the tournament. As there's a chance here for a ball to be lobbed towards Ronaldo. And in the end, Courtois comes out and gets the ball back. As Cal saying, I'm going to hate the World Cup, aren't I? We won't make it. England will. And the banter, Republic of Ireland aren't there, we'll start all over again. It probably is, unfortunately, Kyle, with the way that group's looking. Unless Ireland can have a miracle, which, no offence, I think Kenny is a terrible manager, and I don't think he's going to last long in the job. I think he's a boring sod. I don't think you're going to make it, unfortunately, but that's a shame, because I would have liked to have seen Ireland there, if I'm honest with you. As Chris says, home nations laugh at us when we get knocked out, so I laugh at them when they get knocked out. Fair is fair for me. It's banter. People take it too seriously, yeah. It's just about having a good time. It's just banter at the end of the day, isn't it? It's a bit of a laugh. And for me, at the end of the day, you've just got to enjoy these tournaments because they don't come round often. And I was saying to my friend earlier, who I'm probably going to be going to the match with on Tuesday, I said, if England do go through, the World Cup atmosphere is back again. because people will believe, as there's a chance here for Portugal. Renato Sanchez on the ball. Axel Witsel doing brilliantly well to get the ball back. He turns his man and is now even able to get the ball to Belgium. It's going to be Thomas Vermaelen, who has absolutely nobody to play the ball to. So Belgium give the ball back to Portugal. And with 25 minutes left on the clock here, Portugal really need something soon, because this game is getting away from him. And I'll tell you something. I've got my window open right now. There is something that somebody's cooking outside. That smells absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what it is, but it smells beautiful outside, and it's making me very hungry at the very least. But lovely smell outside of food, whatever it is. As Chris has put, I picked Denmark as my dark horses to start the tournament because of the team and squad. They had Damsgaard, my one to watch, what he done at Sampdoria. He ain't going to be there for long, is he, at Sampdoria, if we're being honest. Absolutely class player. Think he'll be one of the very... not one of the very few. I think there'll be quite a few players that'll get moves from the Euros, but one of the bigger players in this tournament that will get a move at some point because he's been exceptional. And a team like Sampdoria cannot, unfortunately, hold on to stars for long because they're not a team that do well in Serie A. I mean, they did all right last season, but I think they were pretty close to the relegation battle, if I'm correct, from what I can remember. So he's not going to be a player that they can keep for long, at the very least. As we are, 23 minutes left of this game. Of course, if Portugal do equalise and it is 1-1, then the chance of extra time or penalties could be looming. But don't forget, if you are new to the stream and you haven't left a like or a subscription already, then please, please do. If you have enjoyed the stream so far, it's not just me who covers the games on the channel. We've got a whole team of us covering the matches throughout the whole of the Euros. We've covered pretty much 99% of the games across the whole of the competition. So if you do want to watch, or at least join us for the rest of the matches for our live reactions and commentary, then do leave a like and a subscription, because I will be back tomorrow for Croatia against Spain. And then the nighttime game is France against Switzerland, which will be covered by Mr. KL. And I'll be popping in and out of the stream as well. So you get to see me a little bit more with the streams, which is always nice if you're not sick of me already. Because if you are regular on the channel, you've had nearly 10 months of me now. You're probably sick of us. As we are going to have another change here for Portugal. Andre Silva is coming onto the pitch in a moment. And as you would expect, Portugal are literally throwing everything at Belgium with 20 minutes to go. And there is a play down here for Belgium. And there's a few Belgian players going up to the referee asking for a card to come out. In the end, referee's not bringing it out. But there's a bit of pushing and shoving going on now between Pepe and Lukaku. Referee just trying to get Pepe to walk away. And just seeing it was Bruno Fernandes on Hansard. And there's not a great deal in it. But Pepe and Lukaku starting on each other here. I am always one for a little bit of drama, that's for sure. As I think apparently Pepe and Lukaku are going for it with a bit of verbal talk right now. And the referee is just going to take both Pepe and Lukaku and now talk to them to just calm themselves down. And we know, of course, Pepe does like to wind up players. And he'll hope that in these occasions he can wind up someone like Lukaku and get him into the book. But 20 minutes left here of the game. Change is going to be made for Portugal. As I said before, Andre Silva, the Frankfurt striker, is coming onto the pitch. And the change is going to see Diogo Jota come off. And this kid, I'm saying kid, he's in his mid-20s now, isn't he, Andre Silva? This guy is one to watch. Heavily linked with a move away to one of the big European sides in football. I think it was something like, there was a €30 million release clause for Andre Silva this season. And I will tell you something. I will be very, very surprised if he's not snapped up by someone next season and Frankfurt keep him. Because I personally think he's one of the best strikers in the Bundesliga and is an incredible, incredible player. Take out the stint he had at AC Milan, which was disappointing. But arguably, I think you could look back at AC Milan's last decade of strikers and say they were quite heavily cursed, whoever was bought by them. I think he's a brilliant player on his day. And I would love to see him in the Premier League, Andre Silva. because I think he's got all the qualities to be a quality high player for one of the top European clubs. But there's a chance here for Belgium. Lukaku with a heavy touch, which is actually going to land towards Hazard. But Pepe's done very well in the end. However, he's found himself in an awkward position. And Portugal will play out from the back. And done very, very well by Rui Patricio. He's given the ball away, though. Not Rui Patricio, sorry. It was given away by Dallo. Back to Belgium. Who themselves do have a few more changes if needed. But so far, looking very good indeed. Here's Hazard. Ball going to come towards his brother Forgan. Played out to Witsel. And eventually, Belgium will just pass the ball around all the way back to Courtois. As Sean said in the chat, I don't know if you read my comment earlier, but we had to make those 8 signings as we lost 9 players and been in League 1 and League 2 since 04-05. Jesus. It's a long time, isn't it, to be down there. And I said before, it was one of those where you needed to make signings regardless of the fact that you lost players, because you've always been down there. And I think the worry for you guys is the longer you're down there, that's always a worry, isn't it? You want to try and progress as a club and see if you can get yourself, like how Morecambe have got themselves up there into League 1. As we're going to get a free kick here for Portugal. It's in prime Ronaldo position. There is going to be a yellow card coming out for Thomas Vermaelen, who I've got to say has played very well today. Credit to him. Not playing at the highest level of football anymore at Vissel Kobe in Japan, alongside Iniesta. But he's played very well, and that's a good credit to him. As Chris has said in the chat, I can't wait for the World Match Play, first TV ranked tournament of the year. I'm excited for it, but I'm gutted as well, because I'm not going now, because I sold the tickets off in the end, because I don't think I can. I think I just haven't got the money to, if I'm being honest. I'm a bit buggered. So, and more than anything, with the way that COVID is right now, I've said it multiple times. Obviously, we have no idea what's happening with Freedom Day and things like that. I know, obviously, the first 2 days they've had to drop a few fans. So for me, I've had to just sell the tickets off. So I'm just gonna be chilling out and watching it rather than covering it on the channel. I'm gonna relax and enjoy it, because I would love to have been there, but I can't, and it's a shame. I'd just be gutted and moaning on stream for 7 days, and I don't want to be doing that, so I'm going to sit back and watch it and be good in the background. But Ronaldo with a free kick here. Hits the wall, and that's not the free kick you want to see from CR7. I think everybody might have been expecting a little bit better from that, as a long ball is lofted, but straight into the hands of Thibaut Courtois. And again tonight, I've got to say, Portugal need to find something soon, because they've been very, very poor, if I'm being honest with you. Very, very poor, Portugal. Even with all the players on the pitch, not really much has come from them. And Ronaldo's been very quiet. The substitutions have been very quiet. And I think it's been very poor indeed. As Chris has said, understandable why you did that, to be fair. Yeah, I'm hoping I can go to another tournament in the near future. The World Match Play at the end of the year. Sorry, not the World Match Play. The World Championship. I'd love to go to that at the end of the year. That's probably the aim for me. Let's hope we're in a much better position by then. But I mean, money-wise, as I said, I'm a little low, so I thought I'll just get rid of the tickets, and when things are much better, go another time, because I think that's the most important thing. When things are a little bit better and much more safe, I guess you could say, then I can go, because yeah, obviously we've still got no idea what's going on with the World Match Play and the fans and that. And I don't really want to be waiting till the last week to book hotels, because they will be very expensive by that point. But Kyle saying, I know I'm repeating myself, but this is what South's football for me. Players falling and staying down like that. Yeah, you always know they're going to be like that. That's the problem, isn't it, Kyle? We'd like to see the game where it'd be free-flowing and players not constantly going down left, right and centre. But with the way that football is today, they seem to do it. And sometimes they seem to get away with it and get free kicks. And I think that's where referees in the game need to kind of just calm it down a little bit, because the amount of fouls in football must have increased massively in the last decade. And obviously, because the new rules have come into play with tackles and fouls and stuff. I'm going to stop for a second, though, because it's João Felix. Ball to Ronaldo. Back to João Felix to the edge of the box. He goes down. No free kick given, but still chance here for Portugal. Ball lob towards Ronaldo, who tries to curl it into the bottom right-hand corner. And in the end, it goes straight into the hands of Thibaut Courtois, who I've got to say today probably was expecting lots of opportunities on goal. Has had the easiest match of the tournament so far for him. not really had much to do. Every kind of opportunity for Portugal has been quite comfortably into his hands. And very, very simple for him. As Daz has asked in the chat, do you think Rafa will go to Everton? With the way that things are looking with that deal, yes. I don't think Everton fans want him because of the history of Liverpool and more the fact that he's not had the best of times in the last few years at the other clubs he's been to. Was, oh my God, what's going on here? I think Pepe's going to get sent off. He's turned into an absolute riot here. I don't know what Pepe's done there. And I think Pepe here is probably going to get himself sent off. Or at least in the book. I don't know what he did. But Pepe goes into the book with a yellow card. And I don't know what he did there, to be honest with you. But everybody went storming over. And you know Pepe is the type of man to get himself into the book. And I think he must have pushed Lukaku over. So what we're seeing here is Paulinho got in with a tackle originally on Lukaku. I think stood in the head. Which Lukaku had gone down. Didn't really know much about it, which I wouldn't give a red card for. But it's afterwards. Pepe with the foul on Hazard. The referee had already blown the whistle afterwards. And I just want to see after that. Challengers going in left, right and centre. Pepe goes into the book with the yellow card. And this game has got feisty with 13 minutes left of the game to go. And we're seeing the foul on João Felix for the original free kick penalty shout earlier, which nothing was given for. And in the end here, referee just having to calm it down because he's getting very feisty. And I wonder if here Portugal is starting to feel like things are not going their way. And who would have thought Pepe would get a yellow card? Surprise, surprise. I think most of us would have expected that. As I think Lukaku is just going to have to go off the pitch for a second after retrieving some treatment. Pepe complaining about time being wasted by the Belgian players. This one could get even more feisty by the end, as we're going to see a few more changes for Portugal here. Sergio Oliveira is going to come onto the pitch for Paulinho, so a bit more creativity in the midfield from the Porto man. And then another Porto player, technically on loan, was on loan at PSG. Renato Sanchez comes off for Danilo Pereira. So a holding midfielder in there just in case. And Sergio Oliveira coming on as well. As there could be a chance here for Ronaldo. Gone down in the box. Light calls for a free kick, but the referee doesn't give it. And play will continue on what should be a very lively final 12 minutes. And well, it's getting feisty again here. Because Bruno Fernandes is now absolutely fuming at the assistant for a free kick. Or, at least, a yellow card on Lukaku. And literally, as he went running over to the linesman. And the referee just causing this game to maybe get a little bit out of hand here. And as I said, I just think Portugal here look on the verge of breaking down like Wales did last time in their game in the round of 16. And I don't think that red card was a red card in the Wales game. But Portugal looking on the verge of having a mental breakdown. As there's a very scuffed clearance here by Thorgan Hazard. But luckily, it lands straight into the hands of Thibaut Courtois. And we are into the final 10 minutes of this round of 16 fixture at Euro 2020. Belgium 1, Portugal 0. You just get the feeling here that Portugal needs something and fast. Because there could be a few more cards on the hand. As there is going to be a free kick here for Portugal. And this time, it's going to be a foul from Dries Mertens. As Carla said, just my view on Ronaldo. When Portugal or his club are winning comfortable, he's playing like he should be. But when they're against it and he needs to do better, it disappears and does awful. And yeah, I kind of agree to a certain extent. You've only got to look at that Germany game. And yes, he did score. But in that match, he literally had one chance where he just had to get himself into the position. And that was it. And then when you think about it, in this match today so far, he's not really done anything. And that's been the disappointment for Portugal today. As we are into the final 10 minutes of action. Are Belgium about to go through? They were my candidates to win the competition. I think they played very well tonight, Belgium. Very organised. And not really being tested, in my personal opinion, by Portugal. And you can see from the stats, 17 attempts in the game for Portugal, only 5 for Belgium. But I would be very interested to see how many of those attempts were actually on target for Portugal, because I don't think it'd be many, as there's another yellow card coming out. This time it's Alderweireld who goes into the book for Belgium. And I tell you something, if you got booking points on for this game on a bet, I think you are making the money tonight, because the booking points are certainly coming out here. And I think we'll get quite a few more in the last 10 minutes of this game. As Daz says he would have took Pepe off there. Of course, he's running the risk of maybe getting sent off. Chance here, though, for Portugal. Dalot with the ball. Good work there from Thorgan Hazard to clear the ball away. And it's going to be a corner here. And a chance for Portugal. As Daz says, never a red card yesterday. Holland should have been down to 9-member 4. Yeah, never a red card, was it? The Wales one. But corner taken by Portugal. Ball comes in, and it's a good save by Courtois. Really good punch away. And it was Ruben Dias with the header. And Courtois very easily repelled it away. But it was a good save in the end. And for a moment, it looked like Portugal were going to get the all-important equaliser. Pepe loves a ball into the box. Comes towards the path of Andre Silva. Doesn't get to him. And Felix takes on a long-range effort. But in the end, his shot is high and wide. But Ruben Dias with the biggest chance of the game for Portugal to score. And it was a really, really good header. But again, it's just straight at Courtois, who can easily punch the ball away. And in my opinion, I think Ruben Dias has got to do a little bit better there with a header, because he's marked and probably should have put that in one of the corners. But last 10 or so minutes, Portugal have, as you would expect, put all the pressure on Belgium, who just feel like maybe in this game they don't need to get a second to kill it off. And if they do, they can just hit on the break. But Portugal at the same time, that's the best chance they've had. They need to use that as the confidence booster, as Felix lobs the ball into the box. Tries to come towards Ronaldo, and they've hit the post, Portugal. And it was Sergio Oliveira who hit the post this time. And now there's a chance here for Portugal to break. It's going to be a 3-on-2. Ball played towards Dries Mertens on the right wing, but it's a little bit lackadaisical. Lukaku on the ball. He's going to have to take on his man. Goes down. Free kick to Belgium, sorry. And that will do for Belgium. But what an opportunity that was for Portugal at the other end. And it was Sergio Oliveira, the man who gave away the free kick, that had the chance. It was a really good ball from João Felix. Ball comes down to Sergio. Sorry, it wasn't Oliveira. It was actually Guerreiro in the end who took the shot on. The volley hits the post. It ricochets out. And what a chance that would have been. But now this could be the chance for Belgium to really seal the deal and kill this game off with a second. 2 players stood over it. Lukaku, one of them. And he's got his eyes on the prize for the chance at goal. And Lukaku will take it, and it's poor. Didn't really get any dip whatsoever on the ball. And it's always flying over there for Rui Patricio, who I actually thought there Belgium should have probably took a little bit longer to take that. Lukaku took it very quickly indeed and never really got any dip on the ball. And now there's a chance here for Portugal to come forward. It's going to be Andre Silva. Might have a chance to go on his own here. Ball played out to Ronaldo on the right wing. What can Ronaldo do here? He's going to go alone. Block on the ball. And out of play for a corner for Portugal. And this game has got very lively in the last 5 or so minutes. As Carl's put the stats in the chat. 1 shot on target out of 5 for Belgium. Obviously, the goal. And then Portugal, 3 shots out of 18 on target. That tells you the story of the day. As Bruno Fernandes has lofted the ball into the box. Wasn't defended well by Belgium, but they've got the ball back. Hazard going to try and come forward. And in the end, Portugal have got themselves a throw in here. In a decent position. It's probably going to be commentary for most of the last of the game here. Bruno Fernandes with the ball into the box. Tries to get it towards Ronaldo. Going to come down to Guerreiro. Sergio Oliveira. Now to Bruno Fernandes, who goes down. But really good tackle in the end. And now Belgium can come forward. And it's Lukaku. And it's going to be a 2-on-1. Lukaku going to have to try and take on his man. What can Lukaku do here? Poor touch in the end from Lukaku. And he's given the ball away. Although saying that, Thomas Meunier has done very well to get the ball back for Belgium again. And he's just going to have to hold it as numbers pile forward. Here's Witsel into Lukaku. tries to take on Pepe, and Pepe does very well. And Portugal will come forward again. Oh, it's a very end-to-end final 10 minutes of action. Here's João Felix. Into Guerreiro. Now Andre Silva's in the box. Could potentially play the ball towards him. Oliveira onto the right-hand side. Gets it towards Dalot, who's just very good with the tackle. Dalot. Fernandes into the box. Nobody there to get the ball towards, so it's easily cleared away by Belgium, but Witsel forced into the corner flag. And Bruno Fernandes does very well there to get the ball back for Portugal. And you can just feel the pressure building. As let's hope Hazard hasn't pulled a hamstring here, because he's going to have to come off. And Yannick Carrasco's going to have to come on here. As Eden Hazard just comes off. More as a precaution, this one. And let's just hope here that this isn't anything serious for Hazard, because we know he's had injury issues a hell of a lot. And he knew instantly he was going to have to come off, which is not what you want to see. But Yannick Carrasco comes on for the final few minutes, and I guess at the end of the day, this will be a good change if Belgium can hit on the counter-attack. But they're going to be doing a lot more defending here, because it's going to be Diogo Dalot with a throw-in. With 3 minutes left of normal time, Portugal are 3 minutes away from being knocked out. And this would be a massive win for Belgium, who would, by the way, face Italy in the next round if they go through. What a game that would be. Both of those sides would be very good candidates to make the final. Whoever wins that match would be an absolute belter of a game. I think two very organised teams. Very, very well worked. There's a long ball over the top here. Andre Silva on the right wing, just outside the box. What can he do here? Pings the ball into the box towards the near post. It tries to come towards Ronaldo. Doesn't get a touch in the end, and it's cleared away by Mertens. And it'll come back again for Portugal, who have pushed everybody forward. And you just feel here, they need something. Ball lofted long. Comes towards Ronaldo. Gets a touch of the ball. Comes towards Andre Silva. He's nearly scuffed by Courtois. And in the end, he gets the ball. And Andre Silva, who gambled at the near post on the right-hand side, very nearly hit the jackpot. But Courtois gets the ball in the end. And so unlucky there for Andre Silva, although his actual last touch just bobbles the ball into Courtois' hands. He will feel very lucky that the ball has eventually landed into his hands. As there's going to be a few minutes you would expect of additional time for Belgium to have to defend. Ball lofted long. Comes towards Diogo Dalot, who's at the edge of the box. Still trying to go all the way. Tielemans with a back heel. And does very, very well to get the ball away from his goal. And all the way up to Lukaku. And Lukaku's going forward. And he's going to drive forward. And he's got numbers. And Carrasco's on his side. Might be a chance here for Carrasco. Tries to cut in. Still going Carrasco. Brilliant run from Carrasco. But he's taking it too far. Way too far. And he's just going to hold the ball. He's not really much he can do. He's somehow still got it. And in the end, Portugal have got the ball back with Bruno Fernandes. But Meunier with a brilliant tackle. And we're to the final minute of the 90. And it was really, really good work there from Belgium. Yannick Carrasco just taking the ball a little bit too far in that situation. You just think for a second there whether that was the chance for Belgium to seal the deal and kill the game off. But here come Portugal with 5 additional minutes to be added on. It's going to be Oliveira. Ball lofted onto the right-hand side to Dalot. And in the end, his header goes straight into the hands of Courtois, who will claim the ball very comfortably. And you know he's going to hold on to that for every second he possibly can. Because Portugal are running out of time. And the team that I have to say haven't looked good in this competition, Portugal, are looking like they're about to bow out. And Belgium, who haven't really had to do much in this game today, are on the verge of a quarter-final. With the 5 minutes additional to be played. And Belgium just slowing the game down now with a throw-in, taking their time. I think we might see 1 or 2 yellow cards maybe for time wasting, potentially. As Portugal get the ball back, and it'll be Danilo Pereira, who's just playing as a centre-back for now. Ball lofted long, trying to get it into the path of Rafael Guerrero. Doesn't get the ball, unfortunately for him. It'll land with Dries Mertens. Here's Tielemans in his own half, giving the ball away. And now there might be a chance here for João Felix. Done really well, Felix. Plays the ball into Bruno Fernandes. Dinks ball into the path of Andre Silva, who tries to take a touch. Goes down in the box, but no penalty call. And Portugal will get the ball back again on the left wing. It's with Rafael Guerrero. Can they get something here? We haven't had a last-minute winner in the tournament yet. We've had some late goals, but not last-minute winners, or equalisers at the very least. As Sergio Oliveira tries to flick a ball into the box, and in the end it's going to be a throw in here for Portugal. It should be taken very quickly. And the Belgian nerves will continue to grow with the 4 minutes left of this game. Ball played towards Daniel Pereira on the outside of the box. Lovely flick. Daniel Pereira played into the path of Bruno Fernandes, and he goes for the long range effort, and I think that's a waste of an opportunity from the Manchester United midfielder. And surely now, with 3 minutes left, you could see the reaction of a few of the Portugal fans. They're feeling like this game is going to be nearly over. They might have one more opportunity in the match to get something. But the best chance of the game being that Rafael Guerrero opportunity which hit the post. It's just looking like nothing is going to go their way. And that we are going to get a brand new winner of the Euros. As the ball goes out of play for a Belgian throw-in. And they might have a chance here to take it to the corner flag and waste a few more seconds. There is going to be another change for Belgium. And I think it's looking like we might see Dendoncker come on in a moment's time. But 2.5 minutes left, and credit to Belgium, because we said before that the expectations for them would be high. They needed to win a game like this, as they are the world number ones, and the expectation to win this will be massive. And a game like this, if they can come through against a very strong Portugal side, then I think quite a few people will maybe put them as the favourites. But there's a chance here for Portugal to come forward because there's a mistake at the back, and it's brilliant defending from Thomas Vermaelen. What a game he's had. But he'll come back to Portugal again. Bruno Fernandes at the edge of the box. Now to João Felix. Dinks a ball towards the path of Andre Silva. It doesn't get to him. It's going to come back again to Portugal. Rafael Guerrero into Bruno Fernandes. Ball going to play to Pepe on the left wing. And in the end, Pepe goes down. No free kick given. Referee plays on. And Belgium will hit the ball long. Towards the man who has got such a brilliant physique for long balls, Romelu Lukaku. But his pass isn't good. And Portugal will get the ball back again. It's going to be João Felix on the left wing. What can the La Liga winner do here? With 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. Fernandes. Ball lofted into the box. Diving header away from that man Vermaelen. He's been a beast. And now there's a chance here for Belgium. It's a 2-on-2. Yannick Carrasco. Just going to wait for the run of Yuri Tielemans. It's a 3-on-2. And his pass is poor. And he couldn't find him. And again, another chance which Belgium will probably feel they should have had at least on goal. And with 60 seconds left, Portugal, have they got one more chance? It's going to be João Felix into Silva, back to Felix, and that might be the chance. And heartbreak surely now for Portugal, as João Felix, I think, has probably missed the final chance that they're going to get of the game. And it was a little 1-2 between Andre Silva and João Felix, but in the end, it's looking like it's all going to be over, as Dendoncker will come on for the final few seconds. Thorgan Hazard comes off, and the match winner, with a brilliant performance today, might be about to send Belgium through to the quarterfinals of Euro 2020. And it deceived Rui Patricio, that finish. But what a brilliant goal it was. And what a brilliant game. As we now reach the 5th minute of additional time, and I would assume the referee will add a little bit on. As the additional time's been played, one more ball lofted up the pitch towards Pepe, doesn't get to him. Portugal have got the ball back. Referee has looked to the watch, but play will continue, as I said, for a little longer. Danilo Pereira, long ball towards Pepe, doesn't get towards him. and Belgium have got the ball. Thomas Meunier clears the ball away, and that is that. And Portugal are out of the Euros, and a team which were dubbed the Golden Wonder, the golden generation of Belgian players, might be about to live up to the hype, because that goal from Thorgan Hazard, it was a long-range effort, a brilliant, brilliant finish which deceived Rui Patricio. Is the only goal of the game, but what a second half it was. It sends Roberto Martinez's Belgium through to the next round of the competition, to the quarterfinals, and CR7's Portugal, and Ronaldo are out of the competition. We are getting a new winner of the Euros. We will not see Portugal win it back-to-back, but what an end of the game it was. What a second half. And Portugal will bow out of the competition, with Belgium facing Italy on Friday night. What a game that should be. But the full-time score is Belgium 1, Portugal 0. And Belgium are through to the next round. And a very, very good result it is indeed for Belgium. We said the expectation was on the line for them. They knew they were going to have to go out there and do something today in what was a game I think a lot of people were backing Portugal to do quite well. And Belgium now, against Italy, will feel like they are in a good position here to maybe go on another good run in this tournament and maybe even make the final. Of course, we'll have to see as time goes on to what happens for them and whether they do or not make the latter stages of the competition. But on the other hand, as Carla said, Portugal, they were poor, really, really poor, and it kind of proved to why this Portugal team didn't really look like they were going to go far in this competition. They lacked, and it's bizarre to say this, but they lacked somebody up front to put the ball in the back of the net, which is crazy to say. And as Carl said earlier, when they play well, the whole team plays well. When they play bad, my lord, do they look bad. They look really bad. And unfortunately for them, they go out of the competition in very disappointing style. And we are going to not get a consecutive winner, unfortunately, for in terms of a consecutive win at the Euros. But in terms of the other games coming up on the channel, don't forget, if you are new to the stream as always, don't forget to leave a like and a subscription if you are new to the stream. We've got a whole host of other games to come over the next few days on the channel. Of course, Belgium and Portugal is all done and dusted now, so that is brilliant to see. A very enjoyable match indeed. But you can join me tomorrow for the next game, Croatia taking on Spain. You can join me from 10 to 5 for that match. That's the last game I'm going to be covering of the round of 16. I will also be watching France up against Switzerland. That'll be KL covering that game mainly. That's at 10 to 8 on the 28th of June. Tomorrow you can join us for those games. And then, of course, the big one, England-Germany. That's on Tuesday at 10 to 5. You can join Rome for that game live on the channel. Should be a brilliant, brilliant game indeed. If you do want to check out our social media, as always, the links are in the description and are in the chat. Really do highly recommend checking them out. If you want to know when we do go live, our Twitter is at @the_top_corner. And our Instagram is _sportscorner_ to see when we do go live with our games. But that is tonight's game all done and dusted. Belgium with a brilliant win over Portugal. You can join me tomorrow where I'll be live for Croatia up against Spain. That's at 10 to 5. Kick-off at 5 o'clock. That is my last match of the round of 16. But come and join us for it. Should be a good game indeed. But as for now, are the Golden Generation about to live up to the hype as Ronaldo bows out of the tournament? We'll have to find out. See you tomorrow.